The ambush. The stars shimmered in the endless void of space, a silent witness to the unfolding drama. The small human exploration ship, Horizon, drifted quietly in an uncharted sector, its sleek design reflecting the distant light of the dying sun. Inside, Captain Elias Kane sat in his command chair, eyes fixed on the holographic display before him. His crew worked in silence, the tension in the air almost tangible. They all knew this mission was different. The Horizon wasn't here by chance. Its mission was classified, even to most of the crew. All they knew was that they were exploring a region of space that no human ship had ventured into before. It was supposed to be a quiet operation, but something had gone wrong. The sensors had picked up multiple contacts, ships of unknown origin, and they were closing in fast. "Captain," said Lieutenant Harper, the ship's tactical officer. Her voice was calm, but her sharp eyes betrayed her concern. "We're being hailed. Unknown language. Translators are working on it." "Put it on the main screen," Kane ordered, leaning forward. The holographic display flickered, and the image of an alien commander appeared. His skin was a shade of deep green, his features sharp and menacing. A crown of horns adorned his head, marking him as a high-ranking officer. "I am Commander Xylarn of the Zavarian fleet," the alien said, his voice cold and commanding. "You have trespassed into restricted space. Surrender your vessel immediately, or face annihilation." Kane's lips curled into a small, bemused smile. "Restricted space? Funny. I don't see any signs." His tone was calm, almost mocking, but his crew knew better. Behind that calm exterior was a man who had survived countless battles. Xylarn's eyes narrowed. "Humans, always arrogant. Your kind has no place here. Prepare to be destroyed." The screen went dark, and the room filled with the sound of alarms. "Multiple energy signatures detected," Harper reported. "They're powering up weapons, sir." "Shields up," Kane ordered, his voice steady. "Arm all systems, but hold fire. Let's see what they're made of." The Horizon's shields flared to life, a faint blue shimmer surrounding the ship. Outside, the Zavarian fleet moved into formation, their ships bristling with weaponry. They were larger, more heavily armed, and clearly outnumbered the lone human vessel. "They're scanning us," said Ensign Carter, the ship's communications officer. "Their systems seem primitive compared to ours." "Primitive or not, they're confident," Kane replied. "And overconfidence can be dangerous." The first shot came without warning, a searing bolt of energy that slammed into the Horizon's shields. The ship shuddered slightly, but the shields held firm. "Minimal damage," Harper reported. "Shields at 98%. "Return fire," Kane ordered, his voice calm but commanding. The Horizon's forward cannons roared to life, sending precise bursts of energy toward the nearest Zavarian ship. The first shot hit its target, tearing through the alien ship's shields and carving a gaping hole in its hull. The vessel exploded in a brilliant flash of light, and the other Zavarian ships hesitated for a moment, clearly shocked. "They weren't expecting that," Harper said with a smirk. Kane didn't respond. His eyes were locked on the display, where more ships were moving to surround them. "They're adapting. Smart, but not smart enough." The Zavarian fleet opened fire in unison, their weapons lighting up the void. The Horizon danced through the barrage, its advanced engines allowing it to move with an agility the larger ships couldn't match. Kane's crew worked with precision, firing back with deadly accuracy. One by one, the Zavarian ships fell, their overconfidence turning into panic. But Kane knew this wasn't over. The Zavarians were broadcasting a signal, a distress call. "Captain," Carter said, "they're calling for reinforcements. Should I jam their communications?" Kane shook his head. "Let them call for help. I want them to bring everything they've got." Harper glanced at him, surprised. "Sir, that could bring an entire fleet down on us." "Exactly," Kane said, his voice cold. "They need to learn what happens when you attack a human ship. As the last of the immediate attackers was destroyed, the horizon drifted silently, its hull gleaming amidst the wreckage. Inside, the crew began to relax, but Kane remained focused. "Harper, scan the area. I want to know how long we have before their reinforcements arrive." 5 minutes, maybe less, she replied. "Good," Kane said, rising from his chair. "Let's make sure we're ready to give them a proper welcome." The tension in the room was thick as the crew prepared for the next wave. Harper's console beeped, and her face paled. "Captain, I'm detecting a massive energy signature, much larger than anything we've seen before." Kane turned to her, his expression unreadable. On screen, the display lit up, showing a massive Xaverian flagship emerging from hyperspace. It dwarfed the horizon, bristling with weapons and surrounded by a fleet of smaller ships. The crew stared in silence, the odds against them now seeming insurmountable, but Kane simply smiled. "Let's show them what happens when they underestimate us," he said, his voice steady. The screen flickered again, showing a transmission from the Xaverian flagship. Kajalarn was back, his expression furious. "This ends now, human," he snarled. Kane leaned forward, his eyes blazing with determination. "You're right about one thing, Sci-Fi. This does end now, but not the way you think." The scene cut to black as the horizon's weapons powered up, ready for the fight of its life. Retaliation begins. The debris of the first Xaverian fleet floated lifelessly in the dark void. Flames still flickered from the shattered remnants of their ships, casting eerie reflections against the horizon's polished hull. Captain Elias Kane stood at the center of the command deck, his hands clasped behind his back. His expression was calm, but his eyes told a different story. He wasn't celebrating the victory. Not yet. "Status report," Kane ordered, breaking the silence. "Shields holding at 75%. Minor damage to aft stabilizers," Harper replied crisply. "Weapons systems operational at 90%. We're ready for the next wave." Kane nodded, his gaze fixed on the holographic display, showing the incoming Xaverian reinforcements. They were no longer scattered or overconfident. This fleet was organized, a vanguard of warships led by the colossal flagship that had just dropped out of hyperspace. "Captain," Ensign Carter called out, his voice tinged with unease. "The Xaverian distress signal has gone galactic. Multiple factions are monitoring it. They'll know what's happening here." "Good," Kane said, his tone sharp. "Let them watch." The bridge fell silent for a moment, the weight of Kane's words settling over the crew. They knew what this meant. Humanity's isolation was no longer a secret. The galaxy was watching, and the horizon was now the focal point of a battle that could alter the balance of power forever. Suddenly, the ship's eye, Athena, interrupted the quiet. Her voice was calm, but carried a hint of urgency. "Captain, I've intercepted their command channels. The flagship is coordinating an assault pattern designed to overwhelm our defenses. Their plan is impressive, but flawed." "Let's use that against them," Kane said. "Athena, scramble their targeting systems. Harper, prepare a full salvo on my mark. We'll hit them where it hurts." The bridge hummed with activity as the crew executed Kane's orders. Outside, the Xaverian ships began their approach, their formations tight and disciplined. "Incoming fire," Harper announced. The first wave of Xaverian energy blasts streaked toward the horizon. The ship's shields absorbed the brunt of the attack, but the strain was evident. The deck shuddered under the impact. "Shields at 60%, Harper reported. "Return fire," Kane ordered. The horizon's forward cannons roared to life, releasing a coordinated barrage of precise energy pulses. The shots tore through the Xaverian fleet's vanguard, scattering smaller ships and forcing the larger ones to break formation. But the flagship didn't falter. Its massive energy cannons powered up, unleashing a devastating beam of concentrated energy. The horizon barely managed to evade it, the beam grazing its port side and leaving a glowing trail of damage in its wake. "Damage to port side armor," Athena reported. No critical systems compromised. That was too close, Harper muttered. Kane's jaw tightened. They're testing us. Let's give them something to think about. Athena, Kane said, his voice low but commanding. Activate the Phantom Protocol. The bridge crew exchanged uneasy glances. They had heard whispers about the Phantom Protocol, but had never seen it in action. Are you sure, Captain? Athena asked. Do it, Kane replied without hesitation. The lights on the bridge dimmed as the ship's advanced stealth systems activated. Outside, the horizon seemed to shimmer before vanishing from sight, its cloaking technology rendering it invisible to both the naked eye and enemy sensors. The Zavarian fleet hesitated, their targeting systems suddenly useless. Panic rippled through their ranks as their scanners failed to locate the human ship. Where are they? Tylarn's voice boomed over the Zavarian comms, his frustration evident. The horizon reappeared just behind the flagship, its weapon systems glowing ominously. Fire, Kane ordered. The ship unleashed a devastating salvo, targeting the flagship's engines and primary weapons array. Explosions erupted across the massive vessel, sending debris flying. The flagship staggered but didn't fall. They're still operational, Harper said. Not for long, Kane replied. Prepare the EMP pulse. Let's end this. Aye, sir, Harper said, her fingers dancing over her console. The horizon's EMP weapon charged, emitting a low hum that grew louder with each passing second. The Zavarian ship scrambled to reposition, but it was too late. EMP ready, Harper announced. Fire, Kane commanded. A massive pulse of energy erupted from the horizon, spreading outward in a blinding wave. The Zavarian ships flickered as their systems shut down one by one, their engines going dark. The flagship drifted helplessly, its lights extinguished. Direct hit, Harper reported. They're completely disabled. Kane allowed himself a small smile. Good. Now, let's send them a message. Carter hesitated. Sir, are you sure that's wise? If the galaxy hears this, they already know we're here, Kane interrupted. Let's make sure they understand what that means. The horizon's comms activated, broadcasting Kane's voice across all Zavarian channels. This is Captain Elias Kane of the human ship Horizon. You attacked us unprovoked, and you've paid the price. Let this be a warning to anyone who thinks humanity is weak. We are not prey. We are not to be underestimated. If you come for us, we will find you, and we will win. The message ended, leaving an eerie silence in its wake. Captain, Athena said, her voice unusually solemn. I'm detecting a new energy signature. It's enormous. Something else is coming. Kane's expression hardened. Harper, get me visuals. The display lit up, showing a massive distortion in space. A new fleet was arriving. But this one wasn't Zavarian. The design of the ships was ancient, their hulls marked with strange, glowing symbols. That's not possible, Harper whispered. Kane's eyes narrowed. Oh, it's possible. And it just got a whole lot more interesting. The horizon prepared for yet another battle, the stakes growing higher with every passing moment. The galactic response. The silence on the horizon's bridge was almost deafening as the ancient ships emerged from the distortion in space. They didn't resemble anything recorded in human or Zavarian databases. Their jagged designs seemed both impossibly advanced and hauntingly primal, as if forged in a time when the universe was still young. Their glowing symbols pulsed faintly, like the heartbeat of a dormant giant. Captain Kane's voice cut through the tension. Athena, analysis. What are we looking at? The A's response carried an uncharacteristic edge of uncertainty. Unknown vessels. Designation and origin do not match any galactic records. Their energy readings are staggering. They dwarf both the Horizon and the Zavarian fleet combined. Lieutenant Harper swiveled her chair to face Kane, her expression grim. They're not responding to any standard hails. Sir, if they're hostile, we can't win this. Kane's gaze didn't waver from the holographic display. "We'll worry about that if it comes to it. Right now, we need answers." He turned to Carter. "Scan their communications. Look for anything we can decipher. Athena, keep an eye on their power levels. If they so much as blink aggressively, I want to know." The ancient ships didn't open fire. Instead, they drifted closer, their massive forms cutting through the wreckage of the disabled Xaverian fleet like sharks through a school of fish. One by one, the Xaverian ships began to flicker, their systems struggling to reboot. Then, a single transmission blared across all channels, a voice, deep and resonant, speaking in a language no one recognized. Athena immediately began translating. Language structure, ancient but decipherable. Translating now. The voice spoke again, this time in a chilling monotone, now intelligible to all aboard the Horizon. "You have awakened the Sentinels. Intrusion into our domain is forbidden. Penalty. Eradication." Harper's face went pale. "Eradication? Of who? Us or them?" Kane didn't flinch. "Doesn't matter. We're not going down without a fight." The Xaverian flagship, despite its crippled state, suddenly broadcast a frantic message. Xylarn appeared on the Horizon's display, his face a mix of fury and desperation. "Humans, you've doomed us all. These Sentinels were meant to remain dormant. This is your doing." Kane smirked. "Your fleet fired the first shot, Commander. Don't blame us for your mistakes." Before Xylarn could respond, the Sentinels acted. Their ships unleashed beams of energy so precise and devastating that the remaining Xaverian ships didn't stand a chance. The flagship itself was cut in half by a single, blinding strike. Xylarn's furious scream silenced forever. The Horizon's crew watched in stunned silence as the Xaverian fleet was annihilated in moments. The Sentinels didn't pause, their ships turning slowly toward the lone human vessel. "Captain," Athena warned, "their weapons are powering up." "We're next." "Not yet," Kane said, his voice calm but commanding. "Athena, deploy countermeasures. Harper, bring all weapons online and aim for their power cores. If they want a fight, we'll give them one." The Horizon fired first, its cannons lighting up the void with deadly precision. The beams struck one of the Sentinel ships, but instead of exploding, the ship's glowing symbols flared, absorbing the energy. The crew's hope wavered as the Sentinels advanced, undeterred. "Weapons are ineffective," Harper said, her voice tight. "They're using some kind of energy redirection technology." "Then we'll find another way," Kane said. He turned to Carter. "Send a distress call to Earth. Use the encrypted channel. Let them know we've made contact with an unknown hostile force." Carter hesitated. "Sir, if Earth receives this, they'll know the truth about the Horizon's mission, about what we're carrying." "They'll find out eventually," Kane said, his tone firm. "We need reinforcements, and we need them now." The Sentinels began to fire, their beams slicing through space with terrifying accuracy. The Horizon dodged and weaved, its advanced engines keeping it just out of harm's way. But it was only a matter of time before the Sentinels adapted. "Athena," Kane said, his voice low, "activate the core." The AI hesitated. "Captain, activating the core will expose our technology. If the Sentinels recognize it, they'll know exactly who we are," Kane finished. "Do it." The Horizon's lights dimmed briefly as its experimental power core roared to life. The ship's hull glowed faintly, the advanced energy coursing through it making it faster, stronger, deadlier. The next Sentinel beam struck the Horizon's shields, but this time, instead of absorbing the energy, the ship redirected it, firing it back at its attacker. The Sentinel ship shuddered, its glowing symbols flickering for the first time. Harper's eyes widened. "Captain, it worked. Their shields are vulnerable to their own energy." Kane allowed himself a small smile. "Good. Let's see how they like their own medicine. Focus all fire on the nearest ship. Take it down." The horizon unleashed a relentless barrage, turning the Sentinel ship into a fiery wreck. The remaining Sentinel ships hesitated, their movements slower, almost cautious. "They're recalculating," Athena said. "They weren't expecting resistance." "Then let's keep them guessing," Kane said. "Harper, plot us a course through their formation. We're not running. We're breaking their line." The horizon surged forward, its engines blazing as it darted through the enemy ships. Beams of energy crisscrossed the void, but the human ship's advanced systems kept it one step ahead. As the horizon tore through the formation, Athena's voice rang out. "Captain, I've intercepted their internal communications. They're confused. They're referencing an old conflict, a war they fought against an ancient enemy." Kane's expression darkened. "What enemy?" Athena paused before replying, her voice quieter. "They're talking about humanity, sir. They've fought us before." The revelation sent a chill through the crew. The horizon wasn't just fighting for survival, it was uncovering a forgotten chapter of humanity's dark and dangerous history. And the Sentinels hadn't forgotten. The horizon prepared for the next assault, its crew steeling themselves for the battle to come. In the distance, the remaining Sentinel ships regrouped, their symbols pulsing with renewed intensity. The war was far from over, and the stakes had never been higher. Humanity's hidden power. The horizon drifted in the void, its hull battered but still intact. The faint glow of its experimental core pulsed rhythmically, illuminating the bridge in hues of eerie blue. The Sentinel ships had pulled back, regrouping just beyond firing range. They were studying the horizon, their strange, ancient symbols glowing brighter as if alive. Captain Elias Kane stood silently, his gaze locked on the tactical display. His mind raced with possibilities, each more dangerous than the last. The revelation from Athena echoed in his head. The Sentinels have fought humanity before. "Captain," Athena's voice broke through the silence. "They're recalibrating. Their energy signatures suggest they're preparing to adapt to our technology." Lieutenant Harper spun in her chair. "If they adapt, sir, we won't last another round. We barely made it through the last one." Kane didn't respond immediately. His expression was unreadable, but his mind was sharp as a blade. Finally, he spoke. "They think they're the only ones who can adapt. It's time we show them what humanity is really capable of." "Sir?" Harper asked, her voice uncertain. Kane stepped forward, his voice calm but commanding. "Activate the Obsidian Protocol." The bridge fell silent. The Obsidian Protocol was a closely guarded secret, even among the crew. Only a handful of people knew what it entailed, and even fewer had seen it in action. "Captain," Athena said hesitantly, "activating the Obsidian Protocol will fully expose the horizon's true nature. The galaxy will know what we've been hiding." "They'll know soon enough," Kane said. "If we don't survive this, none of it will matter." Athena paused before responding. "Acknowledged. Activating Obsidian Protocol." The lights on the bridge dimmed, replaced by a deep crimson glow. Panels slid open across the horizon's hull, revealing strange black structures etched with glowing lines of alien design. The ship's core pulsed faster, its energy output doubling in seconds. What is that?" Harper whispered, staring at the display. "That's not human technology." "No," Kane said quietly. "It's not." Before anyone could respond, the horizon's comms crackled to life. A deep, resonant voice filled the bridge, speaking in the Sentinel's ancient language. Athena translated in real time, her tone carrying an edge of alarm. "We recognize you now. The Warden vessel." "The what?" Harper asked, her confusion mirrored by the crew. Athena continued translating. "Your kind defied the old order once before. You wielded forbidden power, twisted the laws of nature. We eradicated you before. We will do so again." Kane's jaw tightened. "They think we're someone else, or something else. Let's give them a reason to fear us." The horizon's transformation. The Sentinels didn't wait for further provocation. Their ships surged forward, their glowing symbols now pulsing in perfect unison. Beams of energy erupted from their hulls, converging on the horizon with deadly precision. But this time, the horizon didn't evade. Instead, it absorbed the beams, its black structures glowing brighter with each impact. The energy redirected itself, lancing back at the attacking ships with devastating force. 2 sentinel vessels exploded in brilliant flashes of light. Energy redirection at 120% efficiency, Athena reported. Their weapons are fueling our systems. Kane allowed himself a small smile. Perfect. Let's see how far we can push this. The Horizon launched its counterattack, firing black-hued projectiles that streaked through space like shadows. The projectiles weren't ordinary weapons. They latched onto the Sentinel ships, disrupting their energy systems and spreading like a virus. The glowing symbols on the infected ships flickered erratically before the vessels imploded. Their advanced technology turned against them. "They're falling apart," Harper exclaimed. "Captain, we're actually winning." But Kane didn't share her optimism. His gaze remained fixed on the tactical display. The Sentinels weren't retreating. If anything, their remaining ships were reorganizing, forming a tighter formation. They were adapting faster than expected. "They're learning from us," Athena warned. "Their systems are recalibrating. Obsidian protocol may not hold." Kane nodded grimly. "Then it's time to take the fight to them." A desperate gamble. "Athena, plot a course straight through their formation," Kane ordered. Harper turned, her face a mask of disbelief. "Sir, that's suicide. They'll rip us apart before we get close enough to do any real damage." "Not if we use the core," Kane replied. The room fell silent again. The core, the experimental power source that fueled the Horizon, was humanity's greatest secret. Its origins were shrouded in mystery, but whispers hinted at its connection to an ancient, forbidden technology. Using it to full capacity was a risk not just to the ship, but to everyone aboard. "Captain," Athena said cautiously, "activating the core's full potential could destabilize the ship. There's a 72% chance it will result in catastrophic failure." Kane's expression didn't waver. "It's a risk we have to take. Harper, arm the core. Athena, prepare for a controlled overload." The crew worked in tense silence, their movements precise despite the stakes. Outside, the Sentinel ships closed in, their energy beams slicing through the void like knives. The Horizon's shields flickered under the assault, but Kane remained focused. "Core at full capacity," Athena reported. "Ready for detonation on your command." Kane's voice was steady as he gave the final order. "Initiate overload. Let's show them what humanity is capable of." The final push. The Horizon surged forward, its black structures glowing like molten metal. Sentinel ships fired relentlessly, but the human vessel didn't falter. As the Horizon approached the heart of the formation, its core pulsed violently, sending shockwaves rippling through space. The Sentinels hesitated. For the first time, their movements seemed uncertain, almost fearful. "Detonation in 3, 2, 1. Athena counted down. The Horizon's core unleashed a blinding wave of energy, a controlled explosion that engulfed the Sentinel formation. The ancient ships crumbled under the force, their glowing symbols dimming as their systems failed. When the light faded, only the Horizon remained, atoll scared but intact. The surviving Sentinel ships retreated, their movements erratic as if wounded. The battle was over. For now. A new threat. The bridge was silent as the crew processed what had just happened. Harper finally broke the silence. "Captain, we did it. We beat them." Kane didn't share her relief. His gaze was distant, his thoughts elsewhere. "This wasn't just a fight, Lieutenant. This was a message." Harper frowned. "A message to who?" "To the galaxy," Kane said. "And to whoever made the Sentinels. They know we're here now, and they'll come for us." As the Horizon drifted through the wreckage, a faint signal crackled through the comms. It wasn't from the Sentinels or any known species. It was something else, something older. Kane's expression darkened as the signal repeated itself, a single phrase translated by Athena. The wardens have returned. The battle was over, but the war was just beginning. The ancient enemy. The horizon moved through the debris field in eerie silence. The faint light from the stars cast long shadows across the wreckage of sentinel ships, their glowing symbols now dim and lifeless. Despite their victory, the atmosphere on the bridge was heavy. Captain Kane knew this was no ordinary battle. It was a precursor to something far worse. Athena's voice broke the silence. "Captain, the unknown signal persists. It's increasing in strength, and I've pinpointed its origin." Kane leaned forward. "Where is it coming from?" Athena hesitated before responding. "A structure located deep within a dead star system. It matches no known galactic architecture. Preliminary scans suggest it predates most recorded civilizations." "Coordinates?" Kane asked. "They've already been uploaded to navigation," Athena replied. "But I must caution you, Captain. The energy signatures from this structure are unsettling." Lieutenant Harper turned in her chair. "Unsettling how?" Athena's voice carried an uncharacteristic edge of unease. "They resemble the energy readings from the horizon's core." The crew exchanged uneasy glances. If the structure was connected to the horizon's core, it could mean one thing. The ship's technology wasn't entirely human in origin. "Set a course," Kane ordered. "Maximum speed. If that signal is what I think it is, we don't have time to waste." The forbidden sector. As the horizon approached the dead star system, the void seemed to grow darker, as if the light itself was being swallowed. At the heart of the system was a massive monolithic structure, a jagged black spire that pierced through the star's faint corona. It radiated an aura of menace, its surface etched with runes eerily similar to those on the sentinel ships. The crew stared in stunned silence as the structure came into view. "What is that?" Harper whispered. Athena's voice was steady but grim. "Analyzing now. Preliminary data suggests the structure is a warden relay, a central hub for a long-defunct galactic empire. Its purpose appears to be control and communication with automated fleets, such as the Sentinels." Kane's expression hardened. "So this is their command center?" "Partially," Athena corrected. "This is only a relay. The true command center is still unknown." Harper frowned. "If this is just a relay, then why does it feel like we're staring at the end of the galaxy?" Athena didn't respond, but her silence spoke volumes, uncovering the truth. As the horizon drifted closer, a docking port on the spire opened, as if expecting them. Kane didn't hesitate. "Harper, assemble a boarding team. We're going in." "Sir," Harper said, her voice tinged with hesitation. "This could be a trap." "It's definitely a trap," Kane replied. "But it's one we have to spring." The boarding team moved cautiously through the spire's dark corridors, their footsteps echoing in the oppressive silence. The walls were smooth and cold, pulsating faintly with the same glowing runes that had adorned the sentinel ships. The deeper they ventured, the more oppressive the atmosphere became, as if the structure itself was alive. "Captain," Harper said, her voice barely above a whisper, "this place gives me the creeps." "Stay focused," Kane replied. "We're here for answers." As they reached the central chamber, the runes on the walls began to glow brighter. A massive console dominated the room, its surface covered in symbols that shifted and writhed like living things. Athena's voice came through the comms. "Captain, I'm detecting a significant energy buildup. Whatever this relay is doing, it's reactivating. Can we shut it down?" Kane asked. "Perhaps," Athena replied. "But doing so may alert whoever or whatever is controlling it." Kane stepped toward the console, his eyes scanning the shifting symbols. "We don't have a choice. If this relay sends out another signal, we could be looking at a full-scale invasion." The warden awakens. As Kane reached for the console, the chamber trembled. A deep, resonant voice filled the room, speaking in the same ancient language as the sentinels. Athena translated in real time. The wardens were banished. Their defiance was punished. Yet you return, wielding forbidden power. The team instinctively raised their weapons, but Kane held up a hand, motioning for them to stand down. "We're not here to fight," Kane said, addressing the unseen entity. "We're here for answers. What are the wardens?" The voice responded, its tone colder than the void. "You carry their legacy, yet you do not know them. The wardens were once humanity's greatest strength, and its greatest folly. They defied the natural order, creating weapons that tore the stars themselves apart. We destroyed them to preserve balance." Kane's mind raced. The horizon's core, the sentinels, the spire, they were all connected to this ancient conflict. Humanity hadn't just stumbled into forbidden space. They were returning to a battlefield they had abandoned months ago. "What happens if we destroy this relay?" Kane asked. "You will delay the inevitable," the voice replied. "The true masters of the wardens will awaken. They will reclaim what was lost." Harper stepped forward. "And if we don't destroy it?" The voice paused before delivering its chilling reply. "Then they will come sooner." A fateful decision. Kane turned to Harper. "Set the charges. We're not leaving this thing operational." "But, sir," Harper began, her voice filled with hesitation. "No buts," Kane said firmly. "If this relay stays active, we'll be dealing with more than just sentinels." The team quickly set explosive charges around the chamber as the rooms glowed brighter, the structure seeming to resist their efforts. As they finished, the voice returned, its tone filled with quiet menace. "You think destroying this relay will save you? The galaxy will burn regardless. You cannot stop what has already begun." Kane's voice was ice. "Maybe not, but we can make sure humanity isn't caught off guard this time." The team evacuated as the charges detonated, sending shockwaves through the spire. The structure began to collapse, its rooms flickering and fading. As the horizon pulled away, the spire imploded, its destruction sending a ripple of energy through the system. The warning. Back on the horizon, Athena spoke again, her voice grave. "Captain, the relay's destruction has triggered a new signal. It's stronger than the last, and it's spreading across the galaxy." Harper looked at Kane, her face pale. "What do we do now?" Kane's expression was unreadable as he stared out at the collapsing spire. "We prepare. The wardens may be gone, but their enemies aren't. And now, they know we're back." The horizon turned away from the dead system, its engines blazing as it vanished into the void. The war humanity thought was long forgotten was only just beginning. War or survival. The horizon was silent as it drifted through the vastness of space, leaving behind the shattered remains of the Warden relay. On the bridge, Captain Elias Kane stared at the tactical display, watching the ripple of the newly triggered signal spread through the galaxy like a deadly spiderweb. It was no longer just a battle for survival. It was a countdown to the inevitable. Athena's voice broke the heavy quiet. "Captain, the signal has reached multiple sectors. I'm detecting movement, entire fleets mobilizing." "Sentinels?" Kane asked. "Not just them," Athena replied. "Several major galactic factions are responding, including the Zavarians, the Thalreth Confederacy, and the Arkavi Dominion. They're converging on the signal's origin point." Lieutenant Harper shook her head. "Great. Now we've got half the galaxy pointing their guns at each other. And us." "They won't just point them," Kane said grimly. "They'll use them." "Athena, any word from Earth?" "Negative," the eye replied. "Earth remains silent. Either they haven't received the message, or they're choosing not to respond." Kane's jaw tightened. "They've received it. They're just waiting, watching. They don't want to tip their hand." Harper frowned. "Sir, we can't face this alone. If Earth doesn't act." "They'll act when they're ready," Kane interrupted, his voice sharp. "Until then, we hold the line. A fractured galaxy. The Horizon's long-range sensors picked up the first signs of the impending conflict. Fleets from multiple factions were positioning themselves in the vicinity of the now-destroyed relay, each vying for control of the ruins. The Warden's forbidden technology had become a prize, and no one was willing to back down. On the holographic display, Athena outlined the chaos. The Xaverian remnants have aligned with the Thalreth Confederacy. Together, they're fielding a fleet of over 200 ships. The Arkavi Dominion is deploying a similar force, and skirmishes have already begun. Harper scoffed. They're going to tear each other apart before they even figure out what the relay was for. Not if the Sentinels get there first, Kane said. Athena, any sign of them? The AI hesitated before answering. Yes, Sentinel reinforcements are inbound. Their fleet dwarfs all others combined. Based on their trajectory, they will reach the battlefield within 12 hours. Harper exhaled sharply. 12 hours. That's all the time we got to figure out our next move. A desperate alliance. Kane turned to Carter. Open a channel to the Arkavi Dominion. The young ensign hesitated. Sir, they're not exactly friendly to humans. They might not even listen. They'll listen, Kane said firmly. If they don't, they'll die. The Arkavi responded quickly, their warlord appearing on the display. His scaled face and glowing red eyes radiated distrust. Human, he growled. Speak quickly before I have your ship turned to scrap. Kane didn't flinch. You're fighting the wrong enemy, Warlord Drax. While you're busy playing war games with the Xaverians, the Sentinels are mobilizing. They'll wipe out everyone here, including you. The Warlord's eyes narrowed. And why should I trust you? Because I don't have the firepower to stop them alone, Kane said bluntly. You do. But if we don't work together, we're all dead. Drax studied Kane for a moment before responding. Humans are liars and schemers, but I see no deception in your eyes. For now, we have a common enemy. What is your plan? Kane nodded. Hold your position and prepare for a coordinated strike. I'll contact the other factions. If we unite, we might stand a chance. The gathering storm. Over the next few hours, Kane orchestrated an uneasy alliance. Through a mix of diplomacy, threats, and cold logic, he brought together the Arkavi Dominion, the Thalreth Confederacy, and the remnants of the Xaverian fleet. It was a fragile coalition, held together by the looming shadow of annihilation. As the Allied fleets began to position themselves, Athena spoke again. Captain, the Sentinels have arrived. The tactical display lit up with dozens of glowing red markers. The Sentinel fleet was massive, their ships far larger and more advanced than anything the Allied factions could muster. They moved with eerie precision, their glowing runes pulsating in unison like a living organism. Harper's voice was tight with fear. That's a lot of ships. We've faced worse, Kane said, though even he knew this was a lie. Athena, signal the fleet. Everyone holds position until my command. The bridge crew braced themselves as the Sentinels began their approach. The enemy fleet didn't fire immediately. Instead, they stopped just outside weapons range, their formation unbroken. They're waiting, Harper said. Why aren't they attacking? They're testing us, Kane replied. They'd want to see how we react. A bold gambit. Kane took a deep breath. We're not waiting for them to make the first move. Harper, prepare the Horizon's core for another overload. Harper's eyes widened. Sir, the core barely survived the last time. If we push it again. It's the only chance we've got, Kane interrupted. If we can create a large enough energy surge, we might be able to disrupt their coordination. Without their unity, they're just ships. Athena chimed in. Captain, the risk of catastrophic failure is 83%. The Horizon may not survive. Kane's expression hardened. We're not surviving this battle unless we take risks. Prepare the overload. The battle begins. The Horizon surged forward, its black structures glowing with energy. The Allied fleet followed suit, their weapons lighting up the void as they opened fire on the sentinels. The battle was chaotic, with ships from all sides engaging in a desperate struggle against the overwhelming force of the sentinels. The Horizon became the spearhead of the assault, its experimental technology allowing it to strike with unmatched precision. But the sentinels were relentless, their ships adapting to each attack with terrifying speed. "Core at maximum capacity," Athena reported. "Ready for overload." Kane's voice was steady. "Do it." The Horizon's core unleashed a massive pulse of energy, sending shockwaves rippling through the battlefield. The Sentinel formation faltered, their ships briefly losing coordination. The Allied fleet seized the opportunity, launching a coordinated strike that destroyed several of the enemy vessels. But the victory was short-lived. The Sentinels regrouped, their glowing runes now pulsating with greater intensity. They were learning, adapting even faster than before. "Captain," Harper said, her voice shaking, "they're coming back stronger." Kane stared at the display, his jaw tight. "Then we hit them harder." A grim revelation. As the battle raged on, Athena's voice broke through the chaos. "Captain, I've intercepted a new signal. It's coming from the Sentinel fleet." Kane frowned. "Another relay?" "No," Athena replied, her voice filled with dread. "It's a command signal. The true masters of the Sentinels. They're waking up." The realization sent a chill through the bridge. The Sentinels weren't the endgame. They were just the beginning. Humanity's forgotten enemies were returning, and the galaxy was about to face a war unlike anything it had ever seen. The Horizon's engines flared as it prepared for one last desperate push. The fate of the galaxy hung in the balance, and Kane knew this battle was only the prelude to a far greater conflict. Catastrophic consequences. The Horizon darted through the chaotic battlefield, its blackened hull glowing faintly with residual energy from its overloaded core. Sentinel ships and Allied fleets clashed in a desperate struggle, the void of space alight, with the explosions of dying vessels. Despite the combined might of the Allied forces, the Sentinels were relentless, their numbers seemingly endless. On the bridge, Captain Elias Kane surveyed the tactical display. The enemy's formation had re-solidified, their unity restored despite the earlier disruption. The realization weighed heavy. They were losing. "Athena," Kane said, his voice steady despite the chaos around him. "Give me an update on that command signal." The AI's voice was grim. "It's growing stronger. Whatever is sending it, it's massive. And it's no longer dormant. Estimated arrival: 5 minutes." Lieutenant Harper turned, her face pale. 5 minutes. "Sir, we can barely hold them off as it is. If something bigger is coming." "I know," Kane interrupted. "But if we don't stop this here, there won't be a next time." The arrival of the Warden's masters. As the battle raged, the space around the Horizon distorted, rippling like water disturbed by a stone. A massive rift opened, and from it emerged a ship, or what looked like a ship. It was unlike anything anyone had ever seen. The structure was colossal, dwarfing even the largest Sentinel vessels, and its design was incomprehensible, as though it defied the natural laws of physics. Its surface pulsed with runes, brighter and more intricate than those on the Sentinel ships, as if alive. Athena's voice trembled, a rare occurrence. "Captain, this is it. The source of the command signal. The Warden's true masters." The Allied fleets faltered. Even the hardened Arkavi warlord Drax, who had shown nothing but bravado earlier, hesitated as the alien monstrosity loomed over the battlefield. Harper whispered, "How are we supposed to fight that?" "We don't," Kane said, his eyes locked on the display. "We survive." The forgotten past. The massive ship didn't fire immediately. Instead, it broadcast a signal that blanketed the battlefield. Every ship, Sentinel and Allied alike, froze as the transmission reached them. It wasn't a message, it was a memory. Images flooded the minds of everyone present. A great war, fought eons ago between a coalition of advanced civilizations and a rogue faction that sought to control the galaxy's natural order. The Wardens, humanity's ancestors, had been the architects of that rebellion. Their creations, the Sentinels, were meant to enforce their rule. But the Coalition had turned the Sentinels against them, bringing an end to the Wardens and their empire. Now, the ancient masters of the Sentinels had awakened, and they saw humanity's reemergence as the resurgence of their greatest enemy. A terrible choice. As the memory faded, the alien ship began to move. Its rooms glowed brighter, and beams of energy lashed out, annihilating entire fleets with terrifying precision. The horizon was untouched, but Kane knew it was only a matter of time. Athena spoke urgently. "Captain, I've identified a possible weakness in the command ship structure. It's heavily shielded, but a direct hit to its core could destabilize it." "Let me guess," Harper said bitterly. "That's a 1 in a million shot." "Closer to 1 in a billion," Athena corrected. Kane didn't hesitate. "Prepare the horizon for a direct assault." Harper turned to him, her voice rising. "Sir, that thing will tear us apart before we even get close. We don't have the firepower." Kane's expression was grim. "We have the core." The bridge fell silent. They all knew what he meant. Fully detonating the horizon's experimental core would create an explosion powerful enough to take out the command ship, but it would also destroy the horizon and everyone aboard. Harper stepped forward. "There has to be another way." "There isn't," Kane said firmly. "If we don't stop this now, they'll destroy Earth. The galaxy won't stand a chance." The final push. The horizon surged forward, its engines roaring as it broke through the battlefield. Sentinel ships moved to intercept, but the Allied fleets covered the horizon's advance, sacrificing themselves to buy time. On board, the crew worked with grim determination, preparing the core for detonation. Kane stood at the center of the bridge, his voice calm and steady as he issued commands. "Athena," he said quietly, "initiate the countdown." "Countdown initiated," the AI replied. "Detonation in 2 minutes." The horizon weaved through the chaos, dodging beams of energy as it closed in on the command ship. The massive vessel loomed ahead, its rooms pulsing ominously. "Target the core," Kane ordered. "All weapons fire on my mark." The horizon's cannons unleashed a relentless barrage, focusing on the small glowing point at the heart of the command ship. The alien vessel retaliated, its beams tearing into the horizon's hull, but the human ship pressed on. "Shields failing," Harper reported. "We're not going to make it." "Yes, we are," Kane said. "All power to engines. Push through." Sacrifice and consequences. The horizon reached the command ship's core just as the countdown hit 0. The ship's core erupted in a blinding explosion, a wave of energy so powerful that it consumed the command ship and everything around it. As the light faded, the battlefield was eerily silent. The command ship was gone, its destruction leaving the remaining Sentinel vessels inert. The Allied fleets, battered and broken, drifted quietly. But the horizon was no longer there. The aftermath. On board the surviving ships, the crew watched in stunned silence as the Sentinels powered down, their rooms fading into darkness. The galaxy had been saved, but at a terrible cost. Back on Earth, the signal from the horizon abruptly ended. The human government, which had been monitoring the battle from afar, issued a statement acknowledging the sacrifice of Captain Kane and his crew. For the first time in centuries, humanity's isolationist policies were questioned. But not all was well. In the ruins of the Warden Relay, fragments of the alien technology began to pulse faintly. The battle had been won, but the war was far from over. The ancient enemy had been delayed, not defeated, and the galaxy would need to prepare for the day they returned. Epilogue. In the void where the horizon had detonated, a faint light flickered. A small black object drifted silently through space, a fragment of the horizon's core, still pulsing with energy. It carried with it the legacy of the Wardens and the hope that, one day, humanity would rise again to face the darkness. The battle was over, but the story of humanity's defiance was just beginning.